Okay, good morning. The topic of today's conversation is organizing your lead generation further. So last week we talked about organizing your calendar in a way that represents and supports your ultimate goals. Does your calendar, if I looked at your calendar, I could probably tell what your goals are, whether you're being intentional about your goals or not. And if it's all blank space and it lives in your head, I'll pray for you. Just saying. It's hard to expect your mind to be a container. Our mind is a processor. So we talked about getting everything out of your head and onto your calendar last week. And
That guard dog was slacking.
Mhm. I wanted to create a dialogue today around what could you fill that time with? Now, as a coach, it's not uncommon for me to work with my coaching clients and we progressively build habits. And we start with organizing your time, i.e., the conversation we had last week. And the question can become, if I don't feel that that time is filled with purposeful activities, I'm significantly more likely to skip it. And how do you sit down and create purpose within those time blocks? I wanted to give you some basic framework of how to organize your thoughts, to plan your most purposeful work so that when you show up to execute, it feels like you've already connected with what you intend to do and it's easier to execute. You're more likely to execute. I don't have any visuals today, so you're going to have to use your mind's eye and imagination. But I wanted to break it down to three buckets or three different chunks. And when I look at my lead generation for the week, as you know, Sunday evenings is typically the antidote to the Sunday scaries is usually my planning session. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to plan my week. That's my preference, might not be yours. So I'm planning my week, and how I organize my thoughts is the three buckets. And the three buckets framework is, where am I showing up online? Where am I showing up in person? And where am I showing up in my database? And quite literally, what this looks like, I'll show you how it looks. It might be blurry, but I will write it out. I'm not usually a paper and pen kind of girl, but I want to brainstorm out, nope, my three buckets. So what does it need to look like for me, and where can I show up? And I'll give you some of my ideas of how I look at this. My focusing questions for when I ask myself, what am I doing online? What am I doing in person? And what am I doing with my database? Here's some questions that you can ask yourself to get organized. Again, we're organizing thoughts. When your brain is stuck spaghetti and you have to like untangle it, asking yourself questions can elicit answers that give you your own direction. So, number one, who am I speaking to? When you ask yourself that question of who am I speaking to online, who am I speaking to in person, and who am I speaking to in my database, the who emerges. I no longer have to sit down at my laptop, open my laptop and say, oh my gosh, who's the first person I'm going to call? Maybe I'll switch my laundry or, chat with my best friend before I actually get started, right? So when I'm planning, I ask myself, who am I speaking to? What are the problems I'm solving this week? And the content I'm creating and the conversations I'm creating and the space I'm creating around me with the people in my world, what problems am I solving? What problems am I uniquely qualified to solve? What problems do I like solving? An example of that could be, I enjoy working with first-time homebuyers. Problems that exist in first-time homebuyers worlds might be, what can I compete? Where's my money going to come from? Where do I even start? So and so said it was really difficult. Maybe I'll just rent for another year. What problems are the people that you want to serve solving? That can give you some really great ideas for content, conversations, and creating space around you for people to be attracted to you. Jason has a really great analogy that really stuck with me, and he talks about being a spotlight or a beacon. Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you mind expounding upon what that actually means? Because I think it really plays into creating space and conversations around you.
Yeah, happy to. I think uh most relevance is applied on the marketing side of the business in terms of spotlight marketing. Look at me, look at the house I just sold, look at this listing even, right? Look at the award I just got, things of that nature. And those are great. Like it's not the point is not that don't ever do that. The point is that you gain a tremendous effect when you're the lighthouse or the beacon, and here's the problem, here's the solution, here's the information, here's the guidance, here's me educating the market, here's me being informative to the market, and really, the concept and the analogy of what a lighthouse is, right, is the directional guidance for ships at sea to not crash at shore. So if you're that analogy, social media wise, conversation wise, just the email blast that your database gets, and it's informational based, education based, helping identify problems in the market and offering solutions to them. You're that guiding light, like a lighthouse or a beacon is.
Such a great analogy. And I think about that when I'm having, don't want to jump ahead too far, but when I'm having call avoidance, right? So if you've ever had call avoidance, here's what it feels like. The phone has never felt heavier. You go to pick up a phone and you're like, ooh, I don't know. I haven't talked to them in a year. What if they hate the house? What if I call them and they hate the house and everything's wrong with it? Or I don't know what to say. It feels weird. There's the difference between being a spotlight and a beacon applied to just making phone calls, taking it out of marketing and bringing it to making phone calls and connecting with real human beings as a real human being. Am I making this about me, i.e., spotlight? How am I feeling? Is this uncomfortable for me? What if they judge me? What if they're looking at me? What if they don't understand why I'm calling them? What if I sound weird? Oh my God, I'm embarrassed. You know what? I'm not going to do it at all. That's kind of spotlight mentality versus beacon mentality of if I show up and make a conversation about them and show genuine interest. Think about when was the last time somebody called you and was just like, "Hey, I was thinking about you and I genuinely care about what's going on in your world." When you take that spotlight off of yourself, you also take some pressure off. And I know we're taking it from the marketing realm to the actual, like, how am I showing up realm? But when you take the spotlight off of yourself and you put it on them as the beacon, you can show up really authentically and organically because the pressure on you to perform and show up perfectly has been relieved. And if you,
I'm going to take it further if you don't mind, Chelsea. And this is from an article I read last week, but I'm just going to read right from it. But the tagline is to trade bothering for serving, right? To trade bothering for serving. And if you believe that you are pestering people, you will avoid them every time. If you believe you are a trusted guide who can save them money, stress, expensive mistakes, you will reach out gladly. The mindset comes first, and then the activity follows it.
that's
So, your
super
topic here of your approach, right? Your approach matters. It's, I've kind of, just to give perspective in terms of how I've evolved on these thoughts, like I've evolved in the last, say, 5 years or so to where 5 years ago I would have told you, even sooner than that, hey, just make a bunch of awkward phone calls and stay in touch with your database and like just be a person, be a human to them, and however the conversation or the interaction goes, like you'll be fine. It's really not the case, right? Because you can be pestering, you can be not even pestering, but awkward to a level where, it has a detriment versus having purpose, bringing something to the table that could potentially benefit them. A, you'll be more apt to do it, and B, you'll be providing an informational benefit at minimum.
It's so true. So when you're looking at your buckets, how you can apply this is online. If you're like, oh, I can make phone calls, but online, oh my gosh, hide. I don't want to do that. Again, don't make it about you. Stop thinking about yourself. Stop thinking about yourself. Think about the people who you are uniquely qualified to serve and help solve problems because without you, what would they do? They might fall into the hands of a less capable realtor. They might not know that this is a solution or an answer. So when you're thinking online, think about it. How can I show up to be a service? In person, again, where am I showing up in person? What are the connections that I'm making with others? Who has proximity to the people that I want to serve? And then last is your database. So I wanted to talk about ideas of, well, if you were to chunk it down and say, this is where I want to show up online, this is where I want to show up in person, this is where I want to show up in my database. I had some ideas, but I'd like to get ideas from you guys because I'm not the only person that has original thought that might be of value. So I wanted to start on online. If you were going to come up with a list of what you can do to be visible and present online, I'm going to give you guys some ideas, but I would love some participation. Does that sound good? And the crowd said,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's okay.
Chelsea.
Thank you. All right. So online, here's some things you can do. You can post online. You can make a post, and it doesn't even have to be a real estate post. It could be a post about anything. If you get engagement, I made a funny post about listening to Ben on a Zoom call, and people engage with that. But it's a bid for attention. It's a bid for connection. And when somebody responds or comments or likes, it gives me a reason to like DM them, or it picks me up on their algorithm. So posting online. Jody, you've been posting online more. How
Yes.
has this affected your business? What have you seen differently in your business or even connecting with others?
You know what? I show up in person in a lot of different ways. One of the things that I do is I volunteer at the museum, and I have a very specific job here. So sometimes I'm kind of all business. But the way that I've shown up online, it changes people's perspective of me, and it shows them that I do have a personality, that I do have a sense of humor, that I am more than just what I'm doing here. So I've had lots of conversations with people over the last couple of weeks with people who I've never had conversations with because they start with, "Oh my gosh, I've seen your videos. They're cracking me up."
It's so true. And do you have to sit down and make reels? No, but you can make comments. Some other things that I have is how many likes do I want to make on other people's content? Think about when you post something and people like your content, it's like, oh, that's so nice. It's something where you can make an impression or an imprint on that person to say, you know, I've seen you, I've supported you, and I like what you're doing. I think what you're doing is interesting. I think what you said is interesting. And so, something that I have on my lead generation routine is 5 likes, 5 comments. And if I see something that somebody posts that I want to share, I'll share it. I don't hold myself accountable to 5 shares. So 5 likes, 5 comments. And if somebody engages with my content, I want to direct message them. Hey, oh my gosh, I saw, I haven't seen your face in person in so long. How are you? It gives me a reason to show up and have conversations with them. And the more conversations you have, you're taking them, think about the concentric circles, right? You're taking them from your outside to your inside. And the closer the conversations get, and the more frequent those conversations get, the closer to you they become. And the closer to you they become, the more you become in their mind, embedded in their thoughts. And so that's a good way to be a good person and engage with people, but also bring them closer to you. Sometimes for me, I can get blinders on and I focus to the exclusion of all else, meaning I can do one thing really, really well, and then everything else is on autopilot. There's a lot going on in my world. And if you can relate to that, sometimes you have to schedule following up with people on social media because without it, we can post and ghost. And that's not the way it's supposed to do. Um, you can pay for Facebook ads. You can boost your ads. What else do you guys do to be present online that I missed?
B2B,
Business to
liking,
business.
yeah, liking, sharing, reposting other people's business pages.
That's a really good idea. So you're supporting local businesses to say, hey, my friend owns a painting company or a restaurant, or I went to somewhere, whether you know them or not, posting local business owners can be highly supportive and create that connective tissue between you and them for you to be kind of, people like it when you do that. I know the people who support my business, I genuinely have a warmer feeling towards than somebody who doesn't. I mean, I'm just human. I can't be alone in that, right?
Yeah.
I
And when you go ahead,
oh, is it okay?
it's great.
Okay. So I got my photography certification and I've been practicing with photography.
Hmm.
I have two different kinds of cameras and so what I started doing was going around the city and taking pictures of highlights of the city
Hmm.
and editing them and posting them in hopes to have a further reach, to have a farther reach and attract others.
Hmm.
So I started doing that. I thought it
That's
was
a
pretty
really good
cool.
idea.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought it was, yeah. So,
because what you're doing is you're pairing something that you have a passion for. You like photography, I'm assuming if you're drawn to it, you want to practice it and get your composition skills up. You like
mm,
it. And when you can link something that you enjoy to something that you know will bring you closer to others, you win. And so I think that's really fantastic. And you mentioned something that I have on my list. Who am I speaking to? What problems am I solving? And how will I measure success? For me, if I know I'm moving the needle, I'm more likely to keep on a consistent habit with it, right? So for me, I measure success not in likes or shares. I just measure success for me, show up and do the damn thing. Like that's it. That's I win when I can be consistent. And when the ripple effect of consistency shows up in relationship and social currency, great. But first, I have to structure the win as if I can just show up and be consistent, I'm winning. And so I would encourage you to look at it the same way as you're forming a habit.
Done is better than perfect.
Done is
Yeah,
better than perfect.
yeah. I'm gonna expand to Syracuse, and because I do notary work, and I travel. So when I go out and travel, I can catch these shots of different parts of the western side of New York. Every time I talk to somebody that's not from New York, they just imagine New York City. They don't
Mhm.
really imagine upstate. So that's another reason I'm doing that.
It's a great idea. I love that. Um, and so
Take
when,
take a look at them and like it so I can DM you.
see, there you go. There you go. And even with Jody with done over perfect, I will give you a brief example. You might or might not have seen that I had a little bit of an email subject line faux pas recently. And it was done. It was not perfect. It was not. And it was the only, and then I told the story about it, which is also embarrassing and silly, but the reel went viral and I got over 100,000 views on it. So you know what? Done is better than perfect. Put yourself out there. Stop thinking about yourself. Okay.
100,000?
No, what it was 100.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100,000.
100K,
100,000
over
views. Yeah.
100K. Yeah.
She went viral.
Hey,
Yeah.
What?
Big
something
time.
else. Can I tell you something
I
else
gotta get your
I'm doing?
autograph. That's viral.
Can I tell you something else that I'm
Yeah.
gonna do? All
Mhm.
right, so I have several Facebook pages. One of my Facebook pages is like I have like over 1,000 people on there, and they're from all over the world, right?
That's
And
amazing.
they text they write on my they post things on my feed and stuff, but they're all in different languages. So what I was gonna do is create a campaign in different languages about what Keller Williams can offer them where they are,
I think that's great.
like referrals,
Hmm.
just to see what, just to try it, test it, see if anything comes of it.
I think that's
Um,
very creative, and that's the kind of creativity that try the things. If it lives in your brain forever and you never put action to it, you never know. And so the next one is in person. Where am I showing up in person this week?
Hey,
I am
Chelsea,
not,
not to cut you off.
yeah,
Online, I just want to, and we can move past it because it's probably a whole topic to dive into, but reviews are big. I want to put emphasis on reviews.
yeah, reviews are huge. And people will click on you. I mean, I've clicked on people, comments under people's post or whatever. Do I know this person? I'm so curious. We're nosy Nellies. So tap into that. Write reviews, stay visible. Everything counts and everything matters. Also, the flip side of that is be careful what you are being followed for, or you know what I'm saying? So in person, I hold myself accountable to one in-person event per week. I'm not a super social person, but for me, I like business to business. That's a natural thing. So where am I showing up in person? Am I going to coffee? Am I networking? Am I going to a social event, a book club, church, gym? Where am I going to show up and interact with real people in real conversations? Where else do you guys connect in person, and how do you hold yourself accountable to be visible in the community?
I have I'm a Homes for Heroes rep.
Okay.
And that what that is they reward community heroes when they buy or sell.
Hmm.
Community heroes are firefighters, law enforcement, healthcare, teachers, and veterans.
Wow, that's so
So
cool.
yeah, so I do a lot of stuff, but what I'm intending on doing is actually visiting and doing like a 15-minute blurb on what I have to offer.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten there yet because I'm disabled too and I have to manage my pain and stuff. So, but that's what I'm coming up with all kinds of stuff to do. It's just taking me. I move like a snail. So
Well, if I were going to encourage you in any direction, I'd say take all that creativity, get it out of your head because your head, your mind, your brain is not a container. So get it out somewhere on a document so that you can revisit it when you have the time, the energy, and the consistency to apply to these great ideas, because that's really where it will either live and thrive or fizzle. So holding yourself accountable, does my calendar reflect my goal for one in-person meeting a week? And who am I going to meet with? And then last is your database. Working in your database can be a big chunk of your business. I went from an agent who was the majority of my business was cold business. It was back in the day expireds. It was for sale by owners. It was cold, and I got my butt kicked a lot. And it was a hard road to navigate. And so purposefully leaning into my database really helped me, and now I'm almost 100% referral. So things that you can do with your database in a structured way. If you don't know what to say, track their birthdays, track their home anniversaries, send out the comparative market analysis once a year to the people who've done business with you. Imagine if you had an asset and your professional who is helping you with that asset once a year is probably going to tell you, hey, this is the value of your asset. If it's in the financial world, if it's whatever. Same thing. Go work with your people to say, hey, once a year, I'm going to send you a comparative market analysis so that you understand the true value of your home, your asset, just to know. I mean, are you insured for the proper amount? Do you understand your equity position? What could you do with that equity? Regardless of what they're doing with that information, it's my responsibility as their professional in this world to keep my voice valid. And that's one of the things that you can do to keep your voice really valid. DTD2 is going to help keep you structured. And if you don't know what DTD2 is, we're going to talk about that next week and what you can talk about specifically if you're not leaning into a forward conversation, a conversation that's based in how are you, how's the kids, how's the family, how's the house. If that's not your jam, not my jam, I want to walk you through things that you can say and conversations you can create outside of just a hey, how are you chat. So those are some ideas with your database. Do you guys do anything with your database other than that you find to be really compelling or powerful?
Giveaways and events.
Yep. Okay. Can you
I
say a little more on that?
Yeah, so I participated in the reverse bold 100,
Mhm.
and that formula went so well for me. And I know that you probably should wait a little time, but because I was giving away air show tickets and things like that, I thought it was so different than landscaping that I would probably draw in different people. So I did it in a shorter amount of time, but the prize was like a less money.
Okay.
But I did it back to back, and different I did get different people that contacted me, but it was also very successful using the same formula as the
It's Jody. Jody, huh? She's cute.
reversible.
Awesome.
She seems
Giveaways, events. It
Yep.
gives you a reason to reach out to your database, right? If you're excited to share something with your database or the people in your world, if you're genuinely excited and you're like, hey, you will not believe, or hey, did you know that grant money becomes available soon? And I know this isn't for you. I know that, you're not a first-time home buyer, but banks do a terrible job advertising that they have these grant programs. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you because I bet you have people in your world that could really qualify or benefit from these grant programs. So I wanted to start the conversation with you to see who I can chat with about this. Whatever it needs, whatever you are excited about,
well,
that's being a beacon instead of a spotlight. Go ahead.
can I ask you, so when you get this information from banks, like I was thinking of that too, like getting, grant information, whatever, mortgage information, cash guarantees, that kind of stuff. Do you see flyers for that kind of stuff that I could put on like a social media or an email or a postcard, something like that I
Your,
could,
Yeah.
get?
your lender would be happy to come up with something that was co-branded that
Okay.
you can post on socials or print to give out to your people.
I mean, that sounds like a good idea. Maybe once a week, just send something out saying, "Hey, the grant program's open from this and this and or whatever." But yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
Good. I'm glad. So to boil it down, when you do your planning, if you haven't done it yet for the week, I would highly encourage to look at your calendar and plan your most important work. Write your agenda with yourself and ask yourself if you're not even sure how to write an agenda of what you want to do and what you want to say, start with these and say, okay, where am I showing up online and who am I speaking to? What problems am I solving? Where am I showing up in person? And how frequently this week do I have the time to, or do I want to hold myself accountable to show up in person? And how am I showing up with my database? And what can I share with them that I'm genuinely excited about so that when it comes time to call, I don't want to hide under a rock? Okay. So hopefully looking at those three buckets of framing can help your creativity become organized, and that organization can feed your agenda and your lead generation, and you can have that purposeful approach to your lead generation and execute at the very highest level. And remember, like we discussed in this call, done over perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be done, because if you're not doing it, somebody else is going to be talking to your database, I guarantee, because you cannot throw a rock and not hit a realtor in Rochester, New York. And so what are you doing to protect your relationships? Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine.
All
I
right.
want. Can I throw something in for three
Sure.
minutes? All right. So when we're trying to market ourselves, we have to think of cost. How much this is costing us? So when you go to look online for like printing companies or whatever it is, don't be afraid to go to page 10 or page 15 on the list of these companies, because this SEOs put the most popular, newest companies up front, and those are the ones asking for the most money. But if you go to the back of the SEO, like page 10, 15, whatever, those are the companies that are not getting any attention and they have lower prices.
Okay.
So that when you want to market, you're paying less to market.
That's
So
a really good point. I appreciate that. And that pushes us to be a little bit more creative in our approach too, and dig a little bit deeper. So I think that's so fantastic. And Jason, if you'd like to wrap, that's all I got for today.
Awesome job. Appreciate your time as always. We'll be back next Monday, right?
Yeah.
Next Monday, we're talking about the spider web effect. So your influence, thinking about as a spider web of you're at the center, and how does influence radiate from the center being you, outwards in the community. So I
Real
think,
quick.
yeah,
Sorry.
go
Sorry.
ahead.
What was the video about that went viral for you?
Well, you can check my page and you can watch it yourself.
I will. Okay.
It was a very embarrassing story, so I will spare you the details here.
thank you, Chelsea. Thank
But
Very
you.
funny video.
that's how
Um,
it works, though. The embarrassing ones get you to the top.
It was really, and it was genuinely embarrassing, because when I realized what I had done, I was with Jeffrey in the team leader office, and I got directly out of my chair and laid on the ground and said, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And
Oh, I do think I remember it. You said, yeah, I do. I think I got the email. Yeah.
it was actually
Yeah,
the
I
best
can
freaking
definitely see
moment
how
of
that one went
everybody's life for
viral.
her.
Uh,
it was really funny. And sometimes things like that, when I look, I have an innocent mind, and I don't know
yeah,
what
yeah.
to tell you. So
Innocent? Innocent? Are you sure?
I'm 100% too
Uh,
innocent, because I got
Okay.
myself in trouble.
I've heard enough.
that's
So,
awesome.
so with
Thank you,
that,
Chelsea.
I hope
Thank
Happy
you,
you.
Monday,
yep.
everybody. Bell is ringing. Get to work. Have
Whoop,
a
whoop,
great
whoop.
day.